and bienvenidos to Pica Poco Kitchen. Today we're making plantain molotes. Vámonos! We've talked before about different influences in the Mexican cuisine, like Japanese, Chinese, Spanish of course, French, but one that shouldn't be overlooked is the African influence. There were around 35,000 African and Afro-descendant individuals in the Mexican colony. They brought with them not just a rich culture, but their dishes too, and the ingredients they used. Plantain and bananas weren't established as a crop in the Mexican territory until the late 19th century. And that brought up a new fusion of dishes that incorporated the indigenous root and the African influence, like molotes. Molote comes from the Nahuatl word moloctic, which means lump or packet, which alludes to the shape and feeling they have. Molotes are popular in different states like Veracruz, Tlaxcala, Puebla, San Luis Potosí, and Oaxaca. They all use a certain kind of dough that it's filled later with sometimes with plantains. The version that I'm doing today is Oaxaca. And what's peculiar about them is that they use the plantain as the dough instead of the filling. And if I say so myself, my kitchen's smelling delicious, so I can wait to show you so I can eat them. Let's go. First, we need to steam the plantains. I'm gonna use my pressure cooker, but you can do this in a regular pot in your stove. I have the steaming attachment with some water at the bottom. You want to use a perfectly ripe plantain, just like this one, yellow with some nice spotting, and you may need to cut the top just to fit it in. I bought both of my plantains at the same time, but only one ripened. The other one, just like my friend's exes, stayed the same. But I'm gonna use it anyway because this is the only one I have, so. I'm gonna let them steam in my pressure cooker for 5 minutes with natural pressure release. Another way to know when they're ready is when they burst open just like this one. I can tell already that the unripened plantain could have used a little bit more time, but honestly, I'm gonna move on. Once they're cool off, I'm gonna proceed to do the mashing. This is when having a perfectly ripe plantain helps because the mash is gonna be smoother and easier to make. Here you'll see me struggle a little bit with the unripened one, but in the end I know it's not gonna be such a problem. This just means that I'm gonna need to work a little bit harder. Do it by hand because you don't want to over mash the plantains. We are trying to keep a malleable dough. This is another reason why I do not recommend using overripe bananas, meaning when they're completely black, since the water content of them is going to be higher and therefore it's going to be harder to shape them into the molotes. So here's mine after quite a work, but you can see it's smooth and more on the drier side. I'm gonna let it rest for a few minutes and I'm gonna cover it with plastic while I get my stations ready for the shaping. The oil is heating up and right here I have a plastic bag cut open. This is the one that I use to make my tortillas, which will be very handy right now. I have a big old scoop of cookies, the biggest one that I own, which is going to help me divide the plantain dough. With these two plantains, I'm going to be able to make 4 molotes, so take that into account depending on how many molotes you are planning to make. Using my hands, I'm just going to scoop it up right in the center. And to make your disc, you could either use a rolling pin, your tortilla press, but I prefer to use my hands. That way I can decide how thick I want it. Don't make it too thin. You want a nice coating of plantain. This is the star of the dish, so you want a nice solid base. don't worry too much about it being a perfect circle. That is not going to matter later on. Now that I have a solid base, I'm going to proceed to do the fillings. And for that, I'm going to use some refried black beans. Just 1 spoonful of it in the middle, just like so. And to accompany that, I'm going to use a piece of cheese. In this case, I'm using Panela, but you could use fresh cheese, Cotija, or any other cheese of your choosing. Now, following the direction of the cheese, I'm going to fold over the plantain dough as if I were making a quesadilla, making sure that all of the edges touch each other to enclose the fillings. And using my hands, I'm gonna finish giving it the characteristic shape, which is similar to a rugby ball. Lightly pressuring the sides and the ends, I'm gonna make it this oblong shape, just like that. And I'm sorry that was off camera. That's why I'm making it again to show you one more time. Here in goes the plantain dough, which I'll press with my hands to give it the shape of a disc. Once again, I'm off frame and I am sorry I broke my stand, so I'm using something else. I'll fix that, I promise. Now I'm adding my filling, and depending on the direction of the cheese, I'm gonna fold it over just like a quesadilla, making sure that both ends meet. Just like that. Here you have it. Finally, I put it on frame. And now with my hands, I'll press it down and together. Don't worry if some of the filling comes out, it's gonna be just fine. Some people like to coat them in flour before frying, but I didn't feel like it. I don't think it's necessary, but it's up to you. My oil is ready, and to know that, I like to insert a chopstick, and when you see little bubbles appear, it means it's ready. I hope you could see that. I doubt it though. And in they go. Make sure to give them enough time and keep the temperature of your oil in medium heat. You don't want it too high because of the sugar content of the plantain that can burn easily. I like to use a chopstick to flip them around because that will compromise the structure of them a little bit less. And make sure to keep an eye on them, flip them around, roll them around. Don't forget any side. And you'll know they're ready once your kitchen starts smelling sweet and you can see them nice and golden. Once they're there, take them out and let them rest in a plate with paper towels. And here you have them. At this point, they are ready to be served. You could serve them with some hot salsa or next to nice guacamole, but in this case, for these particular ones, I like to make a nice pool of mole in the center of my plate. Not just because it's gonna look amazing, but because plantain and mole go perfectly well together. And place your molotes on top. You can drizzle some cream on top and sprinkle some extra cheese. And here they are. The sweet smell is just mouth-watering. I can't wait to dig in. Like I told you, this is just one way of serving it. You don't have to do the mole, but if you do and you want to make the mole yourself, I have a recipe for that, so check that out. Let me cut them in half to show you how they look inside. And there you go. A nice firm texture. And if there's a combo I like, mole, bean, plantain, oh, it's really good. Let's get, I guess I need to use my fork. Let's get a little taste of it. Well, a big one, actually. They're sweet. The mixture of textures that you get, oh my god, they're delicious. I would say try them with mole if you can, because oh my god, just the combination of flavors is just wonderful. Let me go for a smaller bite. I don't want to gross you out. Mmm. Mmm. For some weird reason, I don't think molotes are as well known as they should. So make them popular by giving them a try and making them for your friends. So if you like this recipe just like this video, please share it with your friends. Like, subscribe, and be notified. And for more, follow me on the socials. Adios, amigues.